I was walking through what was left of my late July garden, and several thoughts came to me. I thought about what I planned when I developed the idea to eat out of my backyard, planted the seeds, and watched them come to life. I thought about the structures I built to support the garden, and how they would help the dream in my head come to life. I wanted to keep myself accountable, and what better way to do that than to post some videos to YouTube? And you showed up to ask me how things were going. I remembered all the books I read and the videos I watched that would get me beyond the small patch I did every year. And I marveled at how much I learned along the way that allowed me to get more vegetables than I had ever gotten after all the years of doing what I thought was backyard gardening. But another thought bounced into my head. The thought about how quickly I learned that once the seeds come up, there would be a lot to do to feed the ever-growing greenery I would be eating. You have to have a schedule of feeding and watering because the greenery almost become like children that have to be looked after. And you wouldn't let your children starve, now would you? Just like with children, there are always hidden dangers called bugs and pests that lie in wait to cause harm, and I would have to anticipate them to clear the path for the plants to grow. This meant constantly paying attention, watering, and spending time to pick a weed or knock off the odd pest that came into my line of sight. You guessed it. I learned, despite all those great videos from YouTubers, that it involved way more than throwing down seeds and then jumping to eating what grew, followed by posting pictures on Instagram. It was work. And heaven forbid that something didn't grow at all. It was at this point that I made myself take a step back and realize some of the benefits I'd gotten from making the decision to have a full-blown backyard garden. More than anything, having it made me slow down every day and just enjoy the quiet contemplation that comes from watching something grow from your own hands. We've become so focused on hurrying that taking your time now seems like a luxury, when it's really part of life. And hurrying is the odd man out. Gardening also provided a lesson in letting go. When my zucchini squash didn't produce any fruit, I realized I had to pull up what was left so that the peas in the bed had room to provide the food I said I wanted. This simple act made me ask myself exactly why I had started a garden. Was it for bragging rights with a neighbor? Perfect pictures to post to Instagram? Or something as simple as knowing how and where my food came from? Once that fact was established, I also understood that probably, other than a few snarky remarks, my neighbor really didn't care. I'm also pretty low-key, so I didn't post any pictures to Instagram either. But what I did get was enough kale, collards, and peas for meals during the week. I got more strawberries from half a bed than I had ever gotten from a full bed. My corn harvest was not huge, but every stalk produced a few ears, and I used them in stews that were quite good. Despite the bugs, me and Sunny Girl made a feast of cucumbers, and even had enough to pickle. All that basil I used to fight bugs, I'm now drying to make my own spices because I love the seasoning it provides. My tomatoes and bell peppers were abundant, so I learned to make salsa, and now have enough dip to last me until the winter and football season. I've even learned to not hate tomato suckers, but see them as opportunities to propagate more plants, and plan to test the theory that I can indefinitely grow indeterminate tomatoes through the winter. Don Shula once said that it's the start that stops most people. So if you started a garden this spring and got even a small harvest, you are miles ahead of probably half the planet. And no matter how small your harvest, you were eating out of your backyard while learning quite a bit along the way. And this will help you come back even better next spring. See you next time.